Welcome back, friends. My story took a dark turn as I was intending my next vlog to be something completely different, like finishing off exploring Pacific Northwest and my visit to the coast. However, I had to put everything aside to film this episode as I drove away from the epicenter of the events. Pulling off to sleep on the side of the road in random places, and getting help with my vehicle as it was overdue. Okay, let me start at the beginning. On September 23rd, Monday, I got up early to get ready for my trip to Alder Lake at the lower end of Washington State. As I loaded up my car for the trip, I barely touched something smudged on my driver's side window. I realized it had to be intentional because it wasn't there before. I noted it and continued on my journey. At 10 a.m., I was in Auburn, getting ready to see a car mechanic someone suggested. I noticed a pronounced flushing of my face. I got my camera out and started recording. 23rd of September, I'm in Auburn, and I left Kirkland like half an hour ago or something. Lucy's here. I've already applied concealer this morning, and by the time I got here, my whole face was like bright red. And this is after I have applied second layer of makeup concealer. So this is what my face looks like. I believe I must have got some contact of scopolamine through touching, through contact, through somehow. That's the only reasoning I can put behind that. Look at my face. Yeah, I'm not okay. I am not okay. I did not know yet, but my worst fears will be realized. I was poisoned with scopolamine. After a short drive around, the mechanic told me to ignore the noise my car was making for 8 months. It seemed alarming to me and not something to ignore. I called and went to see a friend I made while in Arizona. He doesn't recall anything off with me, but he doesn't know me enough to tell if something was off. I went on with my plan to visit Alder Lake. It took me way past sunset to get there. I was so confused and had blurred vision, I passed out sleeping on the side of the road with big log trucks going by all night. When I woke up next morning, I felt sick and had a migraine. That was my confirmation I was poisoned with scopolamine. My pancreas was hurting in the area of solar plexus. I drove slowly home because this area, this hurts. Pancreas. I stopped every 20 minutes to puke in the parking lots and sleep with AC running to keep myself and my cat cool on a record hot day. I took a scopolamine urine test next morning on September 25th. I bought these narc test strips online last year and paid a lot of money. They work in the first 72 hours after poisoning. I took the test about 48 hours after exposure. It lit up positive. I had a solid understanding of urgency to get out and avoid further exposure that may be fatal. I slept with one eye open that night, then packed to the best of my ability and left for Portland, where a nomad YouTuber suggested a great mechanic. I ended up sleeping at a rest area and going to John's Auto Shop in Lyons, Oregon on Friday, September 27th. He found the problem within 20 minutes of inspection. Using a rubber hammer, he went around the car and found a tire that made a rattling noise I complained of for 8 months on the road to Arizona and back to Washington. It was a nut that was loosened mechanically, intentionally. That should not be.
No,
I
that
should
would
not
never
be
be that
doing
loose.
any of
It's supposed
that.
to be tight all the way against that.
Holy crap.
And this
Yeah,
right here, it tightens up right there, like I said. Those little dimples right there it's called a lock nut. Those lock in place.
they lock.
And this won't go any tighter than that with your fingers. It has to be tightened with a wrench.
Mm-hmm.
So it could not have loosened up like that by itself.
Not by itself.
There's no possible way.
Making a rattling noise on every small bump and turn, it made the car move to the right. I could only drive 45 miles an hour and slow down to 10 miles an hour for turns for 8 months. It's not something that can be easily diagnosed. And a number of mechanics I took my car to said a number of different possible causes, including a torn boot of the CV axis and suspension problems. As soon as John found the problem, he fixed it in under 10 minutes. He used a special mechanical tool to tighten the nut that was loose. No parts were required. Thank you, John, if you're watching this. He didn't charge me anything. Still, I downloaded the CashApp and sent him a small donation to thank him for literally saving my life. Coupled with being poisoned with scopolamine and being sent on my way by a negligent mechanic in Auburn, I was shaken up by the information I was learning. John said I was only 2 weeks from a major accident. In January of 2024, before leaving my home in Kirkland to escape my stalker, the stepfather, I took my car into a local mechanic, someone new to me. He took all day to change oil in my car and make a work order with my ex-husband's name on it for fixing rusty rotors and bad front brakes, which were not true and confirmed not true by 2 different mechanics. After questioning why my ex-husband's name was on the work order, he denied knowing someone by that name. Also, when I checked the dashcam footage on my vehicle, 2 out of 3 years of dashcam footage was gone. That only meant one thing to me. It was benefiting only my stepfather, the stalker, to steal last 2 years of footage when I stopped contact with him. Knowing my ex-husband, he would have taken all 3 years of footage. Also, the strange rattling, squeaking noise started after that appointment, which made me think back to my treacherous trip to Arizona via Donner Pass in February when conditions were bad and I was turned around twice because I wasn't carrying chains. And so many other questionable conditions I faced that could have easily turned catastrophic. 2 days after visiting John's shop, I didn't notice at first that my electrical 12-volt outlet went out. I started then looking for a shop in Salem area. While I had my electrical fixed in the car, I still experienced symptoms of being poisoned by scopolamine just recently. Unfocused thinking, loopy thoughts, brain fatigue, dehydration, and lack of sleep. Thankfully, the shop I came across in Salem was cooperating with my urgency and lack of resources. He fixed the problem in about 4 hours and only charged me for the parts, which amounted to. He actually gave me extra parts and advice to safe travels. A huge thank you to the mechanic in Salem who donated 4 hours of his time and parts to help me stay on the road safely. Like and subscribe for more content like this. To help support my channel, I am including for the first time links to support my work.